When you're making beer as artisans, when you're making something and you think you've executed it as well as you could, and you think it's okay, you think that's good, it would be weird, right, if every time you made a beer you thought, man, I knocked it out of the park. That would be a red flag for me. If every time I came to your place you said, I've made another one, I don't know how I do it, everything's terrific. When you make a beer and you think it's certainly okay, it's good, but then the rest of your peers are telling you it's exceptional. Help me understand what that feels like. Exceptional. And I imagine you guys don't rave about every beer that you make for each other. You'll say that was good or whatever. When somebody really knocks it out of the park, what's that like?
First of all, being braggadocious about your own product is never a good sign. Two,
I'd like to just take a moment to say, you're watching what I believe to be the best beer TV show in the history of television. You were saying, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Braggadocious, I think that word is what did that. So, for us, in general, if it's on the board, it's worth being poured out of a tap. So, if it doesn't make the cut, it just doesn't come out. It is what it is. But, we had previous discussions earlier off camera, that it was sometimes just because I don't like the beer, I run it through the panel of the rest of the workers, right? My brother and then, some bartenders and the other brewers as well. And just because I don't particularly love this beer or this style, it doesn't mean it's not great. It's just not my thing. So we'll get the taste test, and when that happens, it makes the cut. Yeah, it all works out.
Everybody does
that.
I think because it's that creative part of you, and throughout the whole process. And I don't do this with the general public, but I do this with my circle. And I mean, I'm measuring values. I'm doing this or that. I'm sniffing. I'm tasting. And for me, it's training them as well in some of this. Hey, do you taste anything? What do you taste? Tell me. Let's talk about it. I mean, is this pleasing? Do you like it? Would you do this? Do you like this? Do you not? I mean, everything is so specific, not only to geography, because we're still talking about the Quad Cities,
right,
but just even time. I mean, IPAs. IPA that you drink today is not IPA that you drank.
Right. I do feel like that there gets to be a point where if you're going to own the business, there's a certain amount where you have to just kind of go this is Baskin Robbins too. I want to represent all 31 flavors. I personally I'm not a fan of bubblegum ice cream, but every time I go in there's a ton of scoops taken out. So somebody likes it. So the best thing I can do is have some bubblegum ice cream and try to figure out how do I make the best bubble ice cream there is.
Right.
And then I present that.
You gotta give the people what they want.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a certain point that if it was a total curated event of the Brothers Paris,
it'd be all lagers all day.
It would probably be a lager house, And I love IPAs and I love stouts, and there's certain styles that we put up there that I'll taste now. It's by definition, by style, I'll put this up against anyone else's. By definition, by style, any day of the week. So I'm proud of this. And you see those people that fiend for that certain style and they love it, and you're like, cool, that's your beer.
I mean, no matter what, it's still always about being creative.
Absolutely.
Pushing the boundaries. We all have our own way through various stages even of testing products to make sure they're the best they can be. If they're on draft, it's because you said they're on draft.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's
what
that's the point I was getting.
That's where the curation actually is.
In a world where anyone with a smartphone can rate your beer after a sip and have an opinion about it, and I'm sure that's probably another discussion for another time, the feedback that you give each other probably has a lot more weight. Do you ever give each other constructive criticism? Do you ever say, here's something that I think would help what you were doing? You would never do that, would you? You do have to.
You have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Rich will call me up if there's a beer that he's about to tap, and he's like, "Yeah, this something just ain't quite right," without telling me that. And hey, what's your opinion on it? What's your take? And be like, maybe it's a little malty, maybe it's a little out of balance, But we give that feedback before we take it to the public.
With that being said, you also have to have thick skin. To be in this business, to have somebody tell you there might be an issue with your product or the balance is off, or they like to see it this way with after they taste it, and then you tell them your vision of the product, and if it doesn't quite align, you have to be able to take that criticism and understand that it's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. He's actually helping me be better at what I'm trying to do.
Because then you take that back to the drawing board, and then the next time you try to come out with that style, you make the tweaks, and hopefully,
Yeah, because everyone on Untapped or Beer Advocate or all that stuff, if you spend too much time on there, you drive yourself crazy.
Right.
So a lot of times you just talk to your peers to really get their opinion and see whether or not you are doing something right or wrong. And if you are doing something slightly wrong, well, how can I fix it? And you respect their opinions, but just like he was saying, you got to have thick skin. You can't get offended by it.
Is there an example of a beer that one of you makes that somebody else helped improve with a little bit of, here's what I would do advice? Can you think of a way that maybe you've made someone else's beer a little bit better?
Probably subconsciously.
What?
more fruit.
Well, always more fruit.
You too with your
We
fruits.
just push the boundaries as far as you can.
No more fruit.
No
more fruit.
Yeah, right.
No more fruit.
I know.
When one of you says to another that you've made something special, when you are able to say, do you know how good this beer is? And I imagine you probably sometimes don't know how good the beer is because you've been involved in it since it was an idea that you wrote down on a piece of paper. When somebody says this is really something else, what's that like?
I think no matter what, genuinely, you've got to be honest and thankful to them. That's praise from your peers. But then again, you can't rest on it because it's like, hey, thank you. The gods were with us that day, and we're going to keep on making beer, and hopefully it all keeps coming together.
Go back and look at your notes and be like, what exactly?
Right. Why didn't I take notes that day?